Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for watching, you guys. Again, this is Glen, Shelton, founder and CEO of a little company called Lead Heroes. I have my good friend Christian Brindle here, who is the owner and operator of Christian Brindle Insurance Services based out of Utah. Today, I wanted to talk to Christian about his experience utilizing our virtual assistant service, Hire Heroes. Hire Heroes allows an insurance agent or agency owner like Christian to work with one of our most talented virtual assistants who we already have a working relationship with. This is someone who has been working in Lead Heroes for months or even years, who is a top performer. This person is then transplanted based on your specific needs into your agency, and they can help with a slew of different things, which we're going to get into with Christian. We're going to talk about more of those details on what they can do and maybe some things that they wouldn't be a great fit for. But, just to highlight some basics before we get into the conversation, spreadsheets, customer service, email, social media, any sort of administrative task that you're wasting your time on, right? That you shouldn't be doing. So Christian, I appreciate your time today. Good, sir. Let's start from the beginning. Tell me kind of from your point of view, your perspective, how did this start when we first approached you about hiring a virtual assistant from Lead Heroes?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for having me.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it kind of started because I've always been someone that's probably not had enough staff. Right. And
Right.
I mean, that as well as anybody, right?
Yeah.
You probably know my business really well, a lot better than a lot of other people do. And, I've always had employees, but like one thing, I think where we're at in a place in the agency right now is we are in scale mode.
Right.
We are in level up mode. And it seems like every time I hire somebody, I'm like, oh, that, it's great for like the first 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I need like 3 more people for that thing or something like that. So I'm always in a need for people. And I'm a very hesitant hirer is what I would say. And I think a lot of agents probably, if they're honest with themselves, they are the same way. For me, it's a real big plunge to make the consistent monthly investment in hiring another person, because I'm always worried about if it doesn't work out and, the whole 9 yards. So
Sure.
Last year, we hired somebody internally to kind of help with our social media presence, because we do a ton of stuff on social media, probably more than 99% of agencies. And it's just a lot, and I was kind of doing it all myself before that. And 90% of it I was doing myself. And it didn't work out. Long story short, with who we hired, we had to let him go. And it was just the process of finding another person for that specific role just kind of seemed a little daunting to me. And, you and I had a conversation, and we talked about, you're like, hey, I have a possible solution. I think this is something that, one of our virtual assistants would be a great fit for, and it might save you some money, over hiring somebody internally. And so, we jumped on a call, we talked about it, and that's kind of how it came to be.
So I think like what you said right there, again, just to try to explain the value of the service that we're providing agents and agency owners, the time that it takes to find someone, going like, again, to kind of break down the process for someone who maybe hasn't hired anyone before, right? So you're looking to make your first hire, just to really kind of break this all apart. So you're placing job ads, right? You're placing job ads on Craigslist or ZipRecruiter. Then you're getting resumes, you're getting applications, then you're scheduling interviews, and then you're taking time to interview someone. Then you're hiring someone, your favorite person that you interview. Then you're training them. And then, similar to your experience of what happened, unfortunately, it didn't work out. And when you think about that amount of time, and time is everything, right? Time is your most valuable asset, it's your most valuable resource, without a doubt, especially as an agency owner. The amount of time that you just spent that's now essentially lost, that's weeks of your time. And to have to go back, like you said, it's painful. You're going back to square one.
Yep.
And you have to go through the whole process all over again. And especially here stateside, you guys, what I can tell you is that the job market is extremely competitive. It's very difficult to find someone. If you do find someone, to get someone who's of quality, you're going to have to pay probably more than you thought you were going to have to. The days of paying someone $10 an hour here stateside is really gone, in my opinion, especially with inflation like we've seen. So that, like, if I could really like explain the value, like that's really where a huge part of the value is. Obviously, we want to give you someone of quality who's going to come in and do a great job, but eliminating that entire process, right? No job boards, no applications, no resumes, no interviews, no hiring, the basic trainings on us. We're going to handle all of that, right? And we're giving you someone who's going to have a higher propensity for success because, again, we have a working relationship already with them. So, one thing that I wanted to touch on. So I remember every time you get a virtual assistant, the first step is doing a Zoom call with myself personally. I want to kind of tear down your task, what you need help with. And this is what we did with Christian. We got on a Zoom call. It was about an hour long. We talked about the things in his agency that he needed help with, social media being a big part of it, right? One of the big gaping holes that we were trying to fill for him. But I remember as we were going through, you're like, one thing he said that really stuck with me. He's like, wow. He's like, I think there's a lot more that this person could potentially do than I realized. And I think that's something that's common with a lot of agents I work with. So, since you've had this virtual assistant from Lead Heroes, is there anything specifically that you've been surprised with, or things that maybe your virtual assistant's done where you're like, wow, this is super helpful, or I didn't even think, that this would be something that they could do, anything that would fit that? Yeah.
I mean, I think there's several things. I mean, I think for one is like, so Stacy, who was working with us now.
Yeah.
One thing that I was super surprised and impressed that she was so great at is, we were having her basically go through my YouTube videos, which I have a whole catalog of YouTube videos, right?
Right.
So one thing that we've had her doing in the last month or so is going through those videos and taking quotes out of them where it sounds like I'm saying something, special or, insightful or whatever. Yeah. And then she'd make like a graphic of it and put the quote on it. And
I've seen that. I didn't even know she was doing that.
That was her. That's her, all her. And
that's impressive.
And what the one thing that we ran into in terms of a challenge at the beginning was I felt like she was having a little trouble with a little bit of the grammar of some of it.
Sure.
But we work through that, right? Like, I think that's another thing that people need to know is like, you need to be willing to work through some things, and it can get to a point where it's going to be successful for you. So like some of the grammar was a little off on some of them. And what we did was, when she would make those up, she would send them over to another person on my team to just look them over and make sure they look okay, maybe make a correction here or there. And ever since we started doing that, it's been perfect, like absolutely perfect. And it's, and her design work, her ability to go into Canva and design stuff blew me away, right? Like, she's as good as anybody on my team, almost. Celeste is pretty good. But like, her ability to put together those design works and make it look, and flow together, and just her ability to create those designs, I was amazed by. I thought I would have to train her on how to do that.
Yeah.
And I really didn't. The other thing that I've been really impressed by is, me and her have not needed to spend a lot of time jumping on calls together. I've been able to record tasks on like a screen share, like in a video, and kind of show her how I want her to do this or that on a certain social media platform. And she gets it. She's really intuitive and very, smart and able to pick things up very quickly. Yeah. And so those would probably be the two biggest things. There's several things, but those are probably my two biggest.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Like, I want to talk about that content piece of it, right? Because I'll give you guys an example at Lead Heroes. So anytime you're getting an email blast from Lead Heroes, we send them typically on a weekly basis. I'm not the one that creates the original design. I used to spend a ton of time on email marketing. Like, I would literally have a day set aside where I am drafting the entire email. My process now is very similar to what Christian just described. My virtual assistant is putting together that initial draft. Then he sends the draft by email to me. I'm then going through the email and saying, okay, grammar mistakes, or, hey, let's change how this looks, or, oh, this link is broken. Let's make sure this is the right link. But I just shifted from, spending like a whole day working on email marketing to I'm spending, 20 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes, and I'm just making some edits and some changes. And then when it's done, my virtual assistant is the one that sends it out, right? And then they're sharing it on other platforms like social media as well. So I love that you brought that up, because that is a common question that we get is, can they create content? They can.
Totally.
Yeah, they can create content, but it's not necessarily going to be publish ready content. It should be looked over by you, or like, again, Christian being the genius he is, he has someone else that's kind of going through the editing, right? So that way he doesn't have to do all of it. So, and I love that. Yeah.
I think if you put together some kind of, system to way it works, like right now, the way things are working right now, we have Instagram posts being made every day. We have LinkedIn posts being made every day. We have posts being going on our Facebook business page every day. We have posts going on my Twitter account now every day, which I've never, I forgot I had a Twitter account, and it's basically, and I'm not dealing with it 99% of the time.
Yeah.
What I'm doing is I'm continuing to make videos, which I would do anyway. And where I feel like it's helped us stretch our content and get much more out of it.
And then the other with social media too, since that's Stacy's specifically, the virtual assistant Stacy that you have from us, she's specifically focusing mostly on social media. It's very difficult to monitor and I'm sure it's going to continue to splinter, right? I'm sure maybe 10 years from now, there's 5 times as many social media platforms. God, I hope not. but maybe, right? Maybe we get to the point where we have 100 different social media platforms. So, Stacy's monitoring those different channels for you, right? So you don't even have to think about it.
Yeah, great point. I mean, I have, she's monitoring, our inboxes, which when she first started, one of the first things I had her do was I had about 200 messages in my LinkedIn account.
Wow.
And like maybe 10 of them were legitimate people and the rest of them were just spam. So like one thing she did for me that was really helpful is she went through that and basically just, I told her exactly what I was looking for in terms of like what would be legitimate, what wouldn't be. And she was like, okay, this is spam. She opened it. So we get the notification went away and then she moves on to the next one. She's like, hey, this one looks legitimate. She'll send me a screenshot. She's like, this one looks legitimate. What do you want me to say back? And I'll type back what I want to say. She'll respond for me. And, when someone tags me on LinkedIn or something like that, she lets me know about it. She's like, how you want me to respond? I'm like, just like the comment. That'll be good enough. Or maybe reply and say this. And it keeps me from having to log into the social media myself. I haven't been in LinkedIn since she started.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge for me. As somebody that time is something that I just don't have enough of. I'm basically on a day-to-day basis, I log into Facebook, I log into YouTube. And when it comes to social media, that's the only 2 that I'm logging into every day. I'm not needing to look at those others nearly as much, if at all.
Yeah. I mean, before I had a virtual assistant that was doing exactly the same thing, right? Monitoring my social media channels. The tough part is if you had a time sensitive message that you missed, right? I mean, I can't tell you how many times before I had a virtual assistant that monitored my social media channels, I'd get a message that was like, hey, Glenn, I'm interested in buying leads. And, a day or maybe 2 days had gone by. It hadn't even been that long. And then I'm jumping on that message and I'm like, yeah, hey, let's talk. Or yeah, tell me more about oh, you know what? I already bought leads from somewhere else, maybe next time. Thanks. And so I was literally losing money by not seeing these messages, not getting back to them right away. So I love being able to know I'm not going to miss any of it because someone else is helping me monitor,
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's huge, it's so worth every penny of it because it's one of those things to where, any task you can take off your plate, it allows you to spend more time on what you need to do in your business to bring in revenue. And I think, any amount of time that you can free up is going to be valuable because you can make more money in your company and your business. And ultimately it's going to end up being a plus at the end of the day.
Exactly. You guys, what Christian has going on, I mean, again, that's just one piece of the puzzle of what these virtual assistants are capable of doing. Obviously social media is a staple in business today, right? It's hard to be successful in almost any vertical of business without having some type of social media presence. But outside of social media, anything spreadsheet related, CRMs, updating client information in that CRM, maybe doing some marketing through the CRM, right? Depending on what CRM platform you're on. I mean, we're working in several different CRMs right now with our virtual assistants. Customer service, inbound, outbound phone calls, calendar management, scheduling appointments, moving appointments. Guys, I can't tell you how many times where I'm like, oh my gosh, something just came up. My assistant Lester, as some of you know, I'll say, Lester, I really need half my appointments today. They got to get moved to another day. I don't have to sit there and call everybody myself. That's huge time saver for me. And at the end of the day too, this virtual assistant can still do lead generation for you too. So if you don't feel like you have a full 40 hours of admin work, they can jump on the phone utilizing the Lead Heroes platform, our data, our dialer, and they can make phone calls and set appointments or generate leads for you. So it's like the Swiss Army knife of business tools. You'd be crazy, in my opinion, in 2022 as a business owner or an independent agent, an insurance agent, and not have a virtual assistant, at your disposal. Christian, I really appreciate your time and going through, the service and kind of how it's worked for you. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I would say if any of you are on the fence of even at least trying it, I know, it's one of those things where you are able to try it out and see if it works for you.
Yes.
I would encourage you to try it, especially if you're having trouble hiring people. If maybe you don't feel like you have the budget for it, it's certainly a lot cheaper than hiring somebody in the States. I would encourage you guys to try it. I went in maybe with a few, preconceived notions or maybe, some skepticism on how it would work for us. And it's worked incredibly well. And, it's been a great help for me, and back to what Glenn said a second ago about what it takes to hire people in today's economy. Trust me, as someone that's always hiring people, it's ridiculous. Like I hired somebody, I hired two new employees for my business in the last 30 days, give or take. And the last one we hired, I had to probably spend $500-$600 just to advertise the position to find a good, a decent amount of resumes. The days of putting something out on free forums and getting like 20, 30, 40 resumes is not, I don't know if it's over, but it's over right now. Like, I don't know if it'll come back.
Like, right.
Yeah. I mean, but it's crazy the economy right now and, what it takes to find a good person. So guys, this can be a big asset to your business. And I would encourage you at least to try it and give it a try.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. I mean, again, the economy can change, the marketplace can change, but as of right now, 2022, when we're filming this video, it's hard to hire someone of quality and not pay them 35, 40, 45 grand a year. It's hard to even find quality people, even when you're paying that much, right? And like Christian said, this is 100% free to try. It sounds crazy to say, but we are actually going to go through this whole process. We'll get on a Zoom call. I personally will spend 30 minutes to an hour with you. We're going to go through in your business tasks that you need help with, what tasks we think a virtual assistant would be good for. We're then going to go back to our team. Again, we have more than 100 people in the call center. We're going to go to our team. We're going to find the best fit based on the top quality candidates in our team. We're going to then match that person up with you. You get 2 weeks for free, 80 hours of work for free to try it out. At that point, we plan on you coming back and saying, Glenn, we'd be crazy not to keep this person. And then it's going to be between $13 and $15 an hour, depending on how many hours you pay for upfront, monthly or quarterly. So Christian, again, I really appreciate your time coming on a call with me, going through this. You guys, if you want to sign up, go to leadheroes.com, leadheroes.com. You can sign up for a call to get your free 2 weeks from a highly qualified virtual assistant here at Lead Heroes. We are looking forward to not only working with Christian a lot more here in the future, we're going to get him another virtual assistant here soon, but all of you out there who are watching this or listening to this, who need help. We're here. We're here to help you guys. So again, leadheroes.com. Sign up for your free 2 weeks today. Until next time, we'll see you guys.